in deep sadness, because, you know, I've been trying to bear witness for over 53 years, telling the truth and trying to say something about the least of these. But I think we are witnessing America as a failed social experiment. And what I mean by that is that the history of black people for over 200 and some years in America has been looking at America's failure. Its capitalist economy could not generate and deliver in such a way that people could live lives of decency. The nation state, its criminal justice system, its legal system could not generate protection of rights and liberties. And now our culture, of course, is so market-driven, everybody for sale, everything for sale. It can't deliver the kind of really real nourishment for soul, for meaning, for purpose. And so when you get this perfect storm of all of these multiple failures at these different levels of the American empire, and Martin King already told us about that. When I saw those pictures there in Atlanta, you could see Martin right there in Atlanta saying, I told you about militarism, I told you about poverty, I told you about materialism, I told you about racism in all of its forms, whatever forms it takes. I told you about xenophobia. And what we've seen in America is now these chickens coming home to roost. You're reaping what you sow. And in this instant, you have Brother George, where it is so clear it is a lynching at the highest level. Nobody can deny it. And I thank God that we have people in the streets. Can you imagine this kind of lynching taking place? And people are indifferent. People don't care. People are callous. You have just a few people out there with signs. I recall the moments in which during the Reagan years, there was a few of us out there. In the 60s, you had masses out there. Now you've got a younger generation of all of these different colors and genders and sexual orientations saying, we won't take it any longer. But you know what's sad about it though, brother? At the deepest level? It looks as if the system cannot reform itself. We've tried black faces in high places. Too often our black politicians, professional class, middle class, become too accommodated to the capitalist economy, too accommodated to the militarized nation state, too accommodated to the market-driven culture tied with celebrity status, power, fame, all of that superficial stuff that means so much to so many fellow citizens. And what happens? What happens is we got a neo-fascist gangster in the White House who really doesn't care for the most part. You got a neoliberal wing of the Democratic Party that is now in the driver's seat with the collapse of Brother Bernie. And they don't really know what to do because all they want is show more black faces, show more black faces. But oftentimes these black faces are losing legitimacy too, because the Black Lives Matter movement emerged under a black president, black attorney general, and black Homeland Security, and they couldn't deliver, you see? So that when you talk about the masses of black people, the precious poor and working class black people, poor and working class brown, red, yellow, whatever color, they're the ones who are left out and they feel so thoroughly powerless, helpless, hopeless, then you get rebellion. And we've reached the point now, it's a choice between nonviolent revolution. And by revolution, what I mean is the democratic sharing of power, resources, wealth, and respect. If we don't get that kind of sharing, you're going to get more violent explosions. Now, the sad thing is, in this neo-fascist moment in the White House, you've got some neo-fascist brothers and sisters out there who are already armed. They show up there at the U.S. Capitol, and they don't get arrested. They don't get put down.
Well, that's
the president.
That's the extraordinary thing.
You see what I mean?
You have these white weekend warriors showing up as if they're former special forces ops when they're not. Busting into the State House, and the president praises those people, and yet everybody else is a thug to the president. He quotes, a white sheriff from the South in, I guess it was 67 or maybe 68. I mean, if you wrote that in a movie, people would say there's no way the president of the United States would quote a Southern sheriff on the night that a great city in this country is seeing, people in the streets. I mean,
that's exactly right. But keep in mind, though, brother,
also, I guess
he is being true to himself. He's being true to himself. He's saying what he really feels in his soul. You see what I mean? But see, we have to recognize too, because I know, like Tupac Shakur, I got some thug in me. I know I've got some gangster in me. And as a Christian, I got to fight it every day. What does that mean? That means we have to call people who they are. A neo-fascist thug in the White House calls my brothers and sisters in the street thugs. So that then the question becomes, how do we keep alive moral, spiritual standards, keep alive, staying in contact with the humanity of all of us across the board, but recognizing we're living in a moment of massive economic, what is capitalist economy? Failure when it comes to delivering the needs. The nation state, failure to protect. Critical criminal justice system, failure to be fair, you see. And the only response we have is Samuel Beckett, my brother. Try again, fail better. Try again, fail better. Because white supremacy is going to be around for a long time. Don't get surprised if this happens again. Try again. You know the great moment in. Try again, fail better. That's the blues line of our Irish brother. But the question is, we must fight. Even in a moment in which we have a failed social experiment, we must fight. And we must have an anti-fascist coalition against what's going on in the White House Republican Party. We have to tell the truth about the milquetoast, cowardly activity too often that we see among the neoliberal wing of the Democratic Party, and we must be critical of ourselves in terms of keeping alive the highest moral and spiritual standards of Martin Luther King Jr. and Fannie Lou Hamer and Ella Baker. And you see it at work in the soul of Brother George Floyd's family.
Dr. Cornel West, I appreciate your time tonight, and
love you though, brother. You stay strong, man.
Thank you.